Yo, you, shorty, I really dig your vibe. We should get together, let's converse. Let me pick your mind. I just wanna find out what inspires you, cause I admire you. The galaxies, the Milky Way.
Hello memes, welcome back to my channel. So we're going to jump right into this. I'm using the mannequin head or dome head from Amazon in a 22-inch because the 23 is just too big. You're going to need that, and you're going to need some T-pins as well to keep everything in place, a needle, and I love to use the curved needle because it's so much better. And this is the thread that I have on deck today. You're going to need some scissors or shears, whichever one you prefer. You're going to need a pencil. I just chose this to basically outline my cap. You're going to need a mesh dome cap. Now, if you don't do the mesh, then it's probably a little bit trickier, but I personally love the mesh. Yeah, don't mind my dog hopping in my video. She just want to feel included. That's Bailey, aka Beijing. But I have 3 bundles of 613 blonde hair and a 12, 14, and 16 for my sister. So that's that for the bundles, and then I also have a closure that I'm going to be adding to this wig today as well. Now when it comes to the cap, I like for the V to be facing the back of the wig, and in the front you should have 2 parallel lines going straight back into the V. So I pop my cap on the mannequin head, and that's pretty much how I do that. So now y'all don't go judging me for my somewhat straight of a line, but I like to measure front to back. That's the only measurement I really care about because my sister has a smaller head and her front to back is about 13, and as you can see, it's way past 13. So if you have this minor issue, all you have to do is just adjust the cap. What I like to do is just scooch the cap forward and then make room and then kind of bunch it up just a little bit and then scoot the excess forward so that I have a shorter cap. And as you can see now, it's 13 inches. So you want to go ahead and place your, I'm about to say frontal, your closure about 1 inch past the cap. This is so crucial to your wig because if you place it right directly on the cap, it's not going to cut right and you're just going to be pissed. So I'm just T-pinning it down to kind of give me some directions to pin the back. And I'm gathering the hair to get it out my way. And what you want to do is just come straight back and just pin everything down as you did the front so that it's laying nice and flat. So when you go into sew, you're not having no problems, sis, okay? Okay, so we're gonna do this old school. I'm gonna loop to create my knots with my fingers, and I'm just going to secure that knot, make it nice and big so that it does not slip through while I'm sewing my wig down, because that would just be disastrous. Okay, and then now we're gonna take that needle. What you want to do is go through your closure and the first layer only of the mesh. So you should be going through the thin mesh part, not the entire cap, or it's not gonna be right. Now I slowed this part down, but you're gonna see me separate the thread and feed the needle through both pieces of the thread. What this does is it secures a nice flat and thin knot, and it makes sure that closure is in place and it's not going anywhere, because baby, you're gonna have to cut it, you can't pull it, none of that. It is secured. Now, y'all, I tried to get the best angles, but I am 9 months pregnant, and that just proved to be such a challenge for me during this time. But it's just the same old regular stitch. So the rest of the stitch right now, what you see me doing is just sewing through the closure again and through the top layer of mesh on my cap. Keep it real simple. Just, it doesn't have to be too spread out, too close. Just make sure it's nice and flat. Now, I will say every other spaces, I am doing that feed that you saw me do at the beginning, where I feed the needle through in between the thread and then create that nice and tight flat knot. So I didn't feel the need to show like every single detail because, like I said, sis, it's just a simple stitch. Just sew all the way down to the cap. And now when you get to the end, I like to go back at least 1 inch or probably 1.5 inches just to make sure that I really got my closure secured. You don't have to do this. I just personally do this for my wigs because I find that it doesn't slip, my closure doesn't fall off, or we don't have none of those mishaps. And then I feed that needle through at the very end and knot it, and then I will take my scissors and just cut that off and begin to sew the other side of the closure. Yes, now we are on the other side. We're going to do the same thing. Sew all the way down nice and flat. And you are going to sew back at least an inch or inch and a half, up to you if you want to do that part to secure that closure. Now, I just wanted to do a simple, short, sweet video. If you guys want a more in-depth, like really detailed on how to do this or make a frontal wig or a closure wig, let me know in the comments. I'll take care of that for you. But I just kind of wanted to make like this for the people who are just good at watching, learning, kind of picking up a little quick. Okay, my memes, moving on. I'm going to take this. It's basically like a guide for me. You don't have to do this, but I like to just create only 2 lines, like literally only 2 lines. I don't even use this throughout my whole cap. This just is kind of like a template to just know where I'm putting my tracks. And yes, I do double my tracks. So I know most YouTubers do it that way, where they double their tracks, and then when they get toward the top, they just make them single tracks and sew those to keep the wig nice and flat at the top and very full at the bottom. So yeah, I am basically taking a T-pin and just pinning everything down, going through the cap, going through the mannequin head, all of that to keep my double tracks in place. And I like to squeeze my tracks together before I sew. And just to let y'all know, I am a free-spirited, kind of go with the flow type of person if you know me personally. So if it just looks like I'm not drawing the lines all the way from ear to ear or not really doing things perfect, I don't believe in perfection when it comes to just being a creative. So kind of just do you, boo. Like, seriously, do not worry about any little meticulous thing, because I just can't. And sometimes the best work, no honey, the best work is always created when you're more carefree and just let it just flow. Yeah, so I'm just zooming in on the process. What you want to do is feed the needle under the track, like under and over through the mesh, and just keep that same flow, keep that same pattern throughout the rest of the process. And this is just what I do for my bundles. And then just feed the needle through every other space, and then create that knot that I showed you at the beginning to secure it. All right, I finally made it to the top of the head, and like I said, I didn't feel the need to record myself doing track per track per track, because it's pretty self-explanatory. You just go from ear to ear, and since, you know, when you were doubling your tracks, just make sure that, you know, you just keep the stitch nice and flat. I don't do anything special as far as like, you know, trying to keep my tracks flat. My wigs don't come out bulky. It just be pretty neat and pretty tight. Overall, I just make sure that I sew tight. That's all I really recommend. Don't pay attention to these lines up here, because I don't even know why I needed them, because I ended up looping the tracks, or like making the tracks looped anyway. So what y'all see me doing right now is going in and just stitching the last like couple of tracks to this wig, and then I'm going to cut off the excess cap. All right, y'all, so the wig is now finished, and what I'm going to do is just cut off that excess cap where the closure is, because you don't want that. Now look at that stitching. I just wanted to show you guys the inside of the cap to make sure that you guys see the tracks and how much space I kind of left between them. So I'm just taking my pair of scissors, which weren't the best, never again, and cutting my cap. And this It's very simple. Do not cut where your stitch is and you will not have any problems or no smoke or no static or none of that. Okay? Please. Because you're just going to ruin all your hard work. And this is how it should look. You should see the lace. Thank you guys so much for watching. So this is the finished wig. I decided to do this beautiful emerald, and that's exactly what my sister wanted. So she loves it. I love it. It looks bomb, y'all. So I'm so glad you guys tuned in today to watch this video. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, please don't hesitate to leave them below. I love you, memes. Stay safe in the world, and I will see y'all soon.